Hey Retro fans, welcome to another episode of Retro Gaming Memories. In this episode we're going to be talking about the Nintendo GameCube. Now this was my first ever Nintendo console that I owned. I was always a Sega guy back in the days, although my friends had like a Super Nintendo and later on the N64. I never owned any of those obviously, but the GameCube was the first Nintendo console that I owned, like I say, and when the GameCube was launched, I remember kind of seeing it at the time, but I got an Xbox. That kind of won out for me because it was more akin to the types of games. You know, I had a PlayStation 2 and I liked all that kind of stuff. There wasn't really much on the GameCube for me because I never owned a Nintendo console. I was never a kind of Mario guy, you know, the Super Mario or Mario Kart or any of that kind of stuff, or Zelda. So although the GameCube had a strong kind of launch, there was nothing really there for me that made me want to run out and buy it. It wasn't until the year after that they announced a game that really piqued my interest, and my beloved wife bought me the GameCube for Christmas with the game in question, which was of course Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. When I saw that, I thought, oh my god, it's like watching a movie. And to be honest, it still stands up very, very well, even with the modern kind of Battlefronts and stuff, which are obviously almost cinema quality. You know, the Rogue Squadron games still look beautiful. So anyway, so that was me. I had got that, and off I went down the Nintendo route, and it kind of turned me into a bit of a Nintendo fan. It opened my eyes a little bit to what Nintendo did well, which was just making great fun games. You know, they maybe didn't have all the kind of first person shooters and all that kind of stuff that the other consoles had, but they had great fun games, and I will play a great fun game over the most realistic ultra hyper first person shooter any day. Love my first person shooters obviously, but you know, gameplay is what it's all about for me. It doesn't always need to have the best graphics and stuff. Anyway, that's the whole other thing. Here is my original GameCube from 2002, I think it was, maybe 2003. Obviously went for the black edition, and I love this. I still love how dinky this little guy is, with the little sort of mini discs and stuff. It's a really nice weighted console. They went for the Apple having a handle on the back of the console, so as you could carry it over to your friends, I suppose, which I never did, but you know. 4 players straight out of the bat, obviously. Your little memory cards. This is all still complete with all the base ports and things, covers and all that. I never ever got the Game Boy Player expansion. I might still see about getting one, I don't know, but yeah, it's a great little machine, and I really do love it. It just looks great. It's a really nice design. I really do like it. Pop that there for now. But yeah, so that was the first console, the first Nintendo that I really liked. The controller as well felt really nice in the hand. I remember playing my friend's N64 and playing Turok. And I just could not get used to the N64 controller at all. It just felt so loose. You know, I was spinning about all over the place looking at the ceiling trying to control it. Whereas when it refined to the more PlayStation 2 style pad, where everything was, it just worked a lot better for me. And I love the pad that came with the GameCube. And it's weird as well because I've got a Wii, which I'll be talking about in a future episode, but I could play all this GameCube stuff on the Wii, but there's something about playing it on the actual GameCube itself. I don't know why that is. I'm just kind of weird that way, but anyway, so I've got my games here at the side. I don't have that many GameCube games. I used to have more, but as I've said in previous videos, I sold off quite a chunk of my collection, so I stripped this down to games that I really enjoyed or that were unique to the GameCube, you know, GameCube exclusives. or had some sort of nostalgia for me, or were gifts, that kind of thing. Those are my criteria for what stayed in the games room. So anyway, in no particular order, I'll just lift them off as we go. So the first game is Reign of Fire, based on the I think it was Matthew McConaughey movie, which was terrible but good at the same time. I'm pretty sure Sean Connery voiced the dragon in it. I might be getting my films mixed up. But this is actually quite good fun. I've not played it for ages, but the graphics were pretty sweet. I mean, look at the graphics on that. Let's see if we can get this without glare. You get that? Yeah, that's right. It does look really nice. And I still love, I mean, the the little tiny discs are just still brilliant. And the cases are really nice. I really like that they've got a slot for your memory card and stuff like that. I don't know that anybody ever kept memory cards in them, but yeah. Anyway, first game, Reign of Fire. It's good fun. Did it come out on other consoles? It might have done. I don't know, but it's good fun anyway. I like it. Sometimes I like terrible games though, so I don't know. So next up is an amazing beat 'em up, Soulcalibur 2. Not really much you can say about Soulcalibur 2 except it's awesome. The original Soulcalibur and Soul Blade were brilliant fighting games, obviously. I don't know if this started it, but certainly it's got Link as an exclusive playable character. And I know that the Soulcaliburs kind of going forward after that had like Xbox or PlayStation exclusive characters and all that kind of stuff. I think they still do. I don't know if this was the first one to do it or not. But always nice to have Link as a playable character. Next up, let me get them in the proper order. Metroid Prime. This was the first Metroid game that I had ever played. I love it. I just love that kind of stuff. It's mad. Anyway, yeah, first Metroid game that I ever played. I never played any of the original series. I didn't know Samus. Spoiler alert: Samus was a woman. In this, but just an amazing first-person shooter, and so much depth to it. I mean, I've never completed this because there's so much that you have to do, scanning all this stuff and being able to change into the morph ball and all sorts of things. A lot of good ideas went into this, and one thing that I never ever got to try really was, I don't know if we'll be able to see that, but it links to the Game Boy Advance version of the game. I did have a Game Boy Advance, the original kind of purple one, but I never ever got the link-up cable for the GameCube to see what it could do. I don't know if it opened up maps or something. I know there were a few games that kind of had the connection between the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance. I always meant to kind of give it a go and see what it did. But I kind of liked that you could connect the two systems. I like when they think about things like that. I know they had hinted at it with the PlayStation 2 and the PSP. They hinted that it could be a rear view mirror for Gran Turismo and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that ever happened. But certainly Nintendo had it working with the Game Boy Advance stuff. And I think you could use it as an interactive, way before the Wii U pad. I'm sure there was Pac-Man, one of the Pac-Man games you could play with 4 players, but if somebody used the GameCube they could control a map or something like that. So I love that Nintendo come up with ideas like that, and that's one thing that kind of really turned me on to them with the GameCube was these kind of unique ideas that they were coming up with, which then kind of transposed into more stuff with the Wii, and they've been trying new things ever since, and I really applaud them for that. Although I think they've lost their way a little bit, but that's a whole other thing. Anywho, next up is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Again, just an astounding shooter. The graphics on these as well. People that poo-pooed the GameCube for being less powerful than the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, these games just showed what it could do. I think technically it was a slightly lesser graphics card that was in them, but again, it really doesn't matter. You know, you get the hardware in the right hands and people will be able to do amazing things with it. So Metroid Prime 2 Echoes was an astounding game. Never ever completed it either, and it's 60 Hz only. I'm just noticing that on the back, PAL 60 Hz. So it runs beautifully. Another first for me, Mario Kart Double Dash. This came with the GameCube. And this was the first Mario Kart game I had ever played. Never played Mario Kart at all. But what a game! Great fun once you got into it and got used to how it handled if you had never played it before. It was just brilliant fun. Get your mates round and just have silly nonsense. And it was quite nice for me. It was the first time I had really had that sort of departure from sort of realistic racing games, like Forza and all that kind of stuff, or Gran Turismo. So to kind of just, you know, throw all that realism out the window and just have a fun racing game was a new thing for me, to be honest. But it was great, and yeah, superb. Another absolute stonker of a game, Luigis Mansion. I remember seeing this. It was my kids, my stepson had it, and watching him playing it, just the idea that you're stoating about a haunted mansion with a Hoover, basically. The sort of Ghostbusters pack, but it's a Hoover and you can suck the curtains off the windows and all that kind of stuff. Just really good humour, but at the same time a really good game and some genuine sort of frights in it. It's, you know, it's a great game. The sequel only came out on the 3DS, which was a shame, because it worked alright, but I think it works best on a big console, so it would have been nice to see it on the Wii or the Wii U, I suppose, but it would have been nice to see it get a kind of Big Brother release as well, but never did. Something else that came with my console, the Zelda Collector's Edition, sort of promotional disc. So this has got, what's it got? The original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2 The Adventures of Link, and it's also got Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, sort of remastered to use the GameCube controls. Again, a lot of firsts for me with the Nintendo GameCube. This was my first exposure to playing the Zelda games. And realising that the little dude is called Link and that's not Zelda. Yes, I was one of those idiots. But anyway, having the sort of two NES classics and then you know, the N64 stuff was really nice. I mean, it's nothing special to look at. I suppose it's a blue case. I don't know if that's different, but if you've never seen it before. But really nice. It plays really well, and you know, they're good fun. Obviously, they need no introduction if you're a Nintendo person. But I haven't really played the originals. I had quite a shot of the sort of N64 versions, which were really good. But so yeah, one of the first sort of ports across from other systems, 007 Nightfire. A really good game, and being able to play it multiplayer, you know, 4 players on one console was great without any extra hardware. Really nice Bond game. I'm going to say it again, my first exposure to the Wave Race series was Wave Race Blue Storm. Obviously this was, I think it was the N64 it first appeared on, with Wave Race 64. Might have been a Super Nintendo game. Don't know, using Mode 7, I have no idea. Anyway, this was the first time I had played it, and what a great game. And I remember thinking, God, that water looks beautiful. The water effects in it and things like that are just great. And it's a great racing game. The physics in it are really good. Plays really well. So, really nice game. I think this was a GameCube exclusive, bizarrely. Might be wrong. And I need to hold this sideways to get the title right. It's Virtua Striker 3 version 2002. A Sega game, obviously, the Virtua Striker series, where it was on the Dreamcast and whatnot. I think they only got up to Virtua Striker 2 on the Dreamcast. I think this, I don't remember this coming out for the Saturn or PS2 or anything like that. The Saturn? I was getting my timelines all mixed up. Anyway, I think this was only on the GameCube. I don't know if this was the first. It was certainly the start of Sega doing stuff on Nintendo, and I remember there being a bit of a furor at the time. But you know what? It plays beautifully. It's really it's just pure Sega presentation, over the top, crazy nonsense. But quite a good football game if you like arcade football. I'm not bothered about FIFA and all that kind of stuff. I don't really do sports, but I like fun arcadey stuff. So great game. So I never played Super Mario 64 back in the day. This was my first Super Mario game that I ever played. I'm saying that, I played Super Mario Brothers, obviously, everybody's played that, but this was the first one I kind of owned, and the first sort of 3D adventure-y type one that I ever played. So yeah, it's a bit different, and for me it was a bit of a transition, kind of, like I say, letting that realism go to just letting yourself be in this totally fantasy land, Mario universe where everything's just bonkers. Was a bit hard for me, but there's some really nice mechanics in it. The sort of jetpack thing, the water jetpack that he's got to clean everything up, that you can use to fly about and things. Really good. So it's standard fare if you know the Mario series, but like I say, I didn't at the time. So, and it looks really nice. Still never finished it. I don't think I've finished any of these games actually, but there's just so much to do in it. So another great game. First, I think, of the bunch here of Star Wars games is Star Wars The Clone Wars. Sort of tie into the second movie, episode 2. The graphics in this are really nice, plays beautifully. It's better than the film, which wouldn't be hard to be fair, but yeah, it's a nice Star Wars game of its own right. It's got a lot going on, sounds great, looks good, lots happening. And you can play as all sorts of things, all the different vehicles and stuff. So yeah, quite a good game. Probably slips under a lot of radars, being that it's a Clone Wars game, unless you're younger and like the Clone Wars. Yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty sure you can play as like Mace Windu and all that kind of stuff as well. It's not just chips. It's a bit like the sort of Battlefront type games. Anyway, here is the game that made me want to get a GameCube in the first place. Star Wars Rogue Leader. Such a good game. Good God. I'm just noticing there it's got Dennis Lawson as Wedge Antilles. I mean, the graphics, let's see if I can get that. The graphics in that are just beautiful. Still looks great to this day. Still plays beautifully. Such a good game. And the cool thing is that there's an unlockable in it. Is it in this? Yeah. You can play the Atari arcade game, the original arcade game, which plays really well on this actually, with analog sticks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm sure everybody that's got a GameCube has got this. If you don't, go out and buy it immediately. It's Star Wars and it's awesome. Excuse me. So following up to that is Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike. More of the same, although this is kind of more around the sort of Return of the Jedi-esque type. It kind of crosses over. So you do have a kind of throwback to doing the AT-ATs and all that kind of stuff, but you get speeder bikes. You get to fly a speeder bike in this, which is just tremendous fun, albeit almost uncontrollable. You also get to do sort of third person running about as Luke Skywalker and all that kind of stuff. I'm just looking here, there's a special feature, I did not know this. 2-player cooperative version of Rogue Leader game included on the Rebel Strike disc. Didn't know that. So I don't know if the whole Rogue Leader is on here as a co-op game, but there you go. I've had this for years and I didn't know that. I think this got slightly lesser reviews than Rogue Leader, but it's still great. I mean, it's Star Wars. That's all you need to say, isn't it? Now, I don't know if this was a Nintendo exclusive. Is it? Probably is. But this is Nintendo. If it's not an exclusive, it should have been, because it's Nintendo doing what they do best and taking a an idea, a totally random idea. It's hard to explain, but the game is Geist, which, if you didn't know, is German for ghost. But it's such a good game, and I can't quite remember the storyline behind it, but the kind of unique feature is that you can possess people. So if your character can't get past a certain bit, you can become the sort of ghost and possess objects or other people to kind of complete the level. So it's a first person shooter, but it plays really well, and it's got such a unique mechanic in it, but it's a great game, worth digging out if you don't have it. A game I've not played much, but I remember buying this out of Game. They had a pre-owned sticker on it for $1.99, but it was, when the guy brought it out, he says it's brand new, it's just we were selling off all the GameCube stuff. And that is 007 From Russia with Love, based on the classic movie. You look a little bit like Sean Connery, you sound a little bit like Sean Connery. But yeah, the classic Bond movie. It's quite good. I haven't played it that much, but what I did play I quite enjoyed. So another cracking game. This was available across all of the consoles, I think, but Freedom Fighters, sort of third person. It's a bit like Mercenaries if you've ever played that. Running about, shooting stuff, different factions and things. Just a good kind of third person shooter. Now a bit of a weird one. Midway did a couple of games which I've got here. Not sure if this ever came out on anything else, but Fireblade. It's a helicopter game that looks really basic on the front, but it's actually it's good fun. It's just pure arcade silly nonsense, but it's good fun. It's a bit like sort of, I don't know, Mech Assault on the Xbox, although you're in a mech there obviously, but it's the same kind of thing. You get just missions to do and you fly about and shoot stuff. And, yeah, it's helicopters. So another cracking game, Extreme G3 Racing. Yeah, Extreme G3, yeah. I remember playing this for the first time on the GameCube. I think this came out across other systems as well. But I could never get into Wipeout. I really wanted to, and I've got quite a few of the Wipeout games, and I kind of dip in and have a shot, but I never played through, you know, a lot of it, because it was just too fast and chaotic for me. But this is kind of similar to Wipeout in that it's futuristic racing, and the bikes have got boost pads and all that kind of stuff, and weapons. So it's basically Wipeout on bikes, but I really like this. Does it run at 60 Hz? It doesn't actually say on it, but runs beautifully. It's really smooth, really colourful, an amazing soundtrack. I'm just noticing here it's got the Ministry of Sound logo, so it's a Ministry of Sound soundtrack on it. Just a great kind of neon high-speed bike racer shooty type game. Really good fun. And quite cheap. I think you can pick that up for like £1 now. It's really cheap. One of the first person shooters I played on the GameCube. my stepsons had this. Die Hard Vendetta. It's a bit cheesy, but it's good fun. The voice acting in it isn't too bad. It's a little bit cheesy at parts, but yeah, this was a very early title on the GameCube, so the graphics are okay. They're kind of sub PS2 to be honest. They're not 100%, but it still is good fun, and you could dual wield guns and all that kind of stuff in it. And the guy that plays John McClane, he sounds quite like Bruce Willis. It's not too bad. So no, lots of glare there. Sorry, Die Hard Vendetta, good fun. So another one of the Midway strange games was Defender. Absolutely nothing like the original arcade game Defender. Defender in title only. You fly your ship about and you have to pick up humans and save them. But it's a 3D game. Doesn't play as well as the original Defender. It's kind of, it's all right, but it's a 360 degree everything going on at once type thing. So it's not too bad. It's not brilliant. There are a few bits. There's a Defender the Club mix and a new song apparently by Vaunt, whoever. There's a making a Defender and a historical perspective and all that kind of stuff. So they had extra features on the disc, probably because the game takes up about 3 megabytes. It's not brilliant. But it's Defender. Next up, Dark Summit. Get the glare out of there. So I've not played much of this. In fact, have I played it at all? I can't remember. It's a snowboarding game, I seem to remember. But no, I haven't played this much at all actually. But I've got a few games like that I haven't played. You've kind of popped them in and had a quick shot. But yeah, I think there's quite a lot to this. I think it gets not bad reviews. But yeah, anyway. And lastly, the original Burnout. Plays really well on the GameCube. First time I ever played Burnout was on a demo on a PlayStation 2 and I didn't like it. And then I played it on the GameCube and really liked it. I don't know if it was slightly slower, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that the demo I played at the PS2 was kind of uncontrollable. It was too fast, which is great, but you know, you want your games to be fast. You don't want them to be sluggish, but this was just a good pace for me because there was a lot of new stuff introduced in Burnout. If you think about it, it's all kind of commonplace now, but you know, being able to crash your car and the crash mechanics and all that kind of stuff really hadn't been done before. So yeah, trying to get used to all that kind of stuff. This was the one that kind of did it for me. So yeah, Burnout. So that's it. That is my GameCube collection. Like I say, it's fairly small, but I think there's some pretty good games in there, apart from Defender. But I like it, you know. So yeah, so not much more I can say about that apart from the GameCube was, as I've said, the machine that introduced me to the ways of Nintendo and kind of opened my eyes to the franchises that they had and what they did well. Like I say, taking unique kind of ideas on how to control things, you know, being able to plug in your Game Boy and all that kind of stuff into the machine. I loved all that kind of stuff. So yeah, quite a lot of nostalgia for the GameCube. It's one of the few kind of, it was when I started to keep all my consoles, you know, instead of kind of selling them off. The only original machine I've got for back in the day is my Amiga 1200 that I had purchased, and from then on my wife got me an Xbox, which I've still got, and the GameCube, which I've still got, and all the other kind of consoles up past that I've still got. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop waffling nonsense. That was the GameCube. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to know any more or any questions or whatever, get in touch. Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.